A Course in Carols, song number 9, is going to be The Friendly Beasts. We're going to do it in 3 different keys. We're going to do C, F, and G7 for the first 3 verses. And then on the next 2 verses, we're going to do D, G, and A7. And then on the final verse, we're going to transition to F, B flat, and C7 as our 3 chords. And in order to get into that final key, it's not just a step up. So we need to have a little transition. So we're going to do this. We're going to do I said the dove from the rafters high. And then we can go into thus every beast, right? And that gets us into the key of F rather nicely. All right, so here we go, starting in the key of C with a C chord and a C note. And 1, 2, 3. Jesus, our brother, kind and good, was humbly born in a stable rude, and the friendly beasts around him stood. Jesus, our brother, kind and good. I said the donkey shaggy and brown, I carried his mother up and down. I carried her safely to Bethlehem town. I said the donkey shaggy and brown. I said the cow all white and red, I gave him my manger for his bed. I gave him my hay to pillow his head. I said the cow all white and red. I said the sheep with curly horn, I gave him my wool for his blanket warm. He wore my coat on Christmas morn. I said the sheep with the curly horn. I said the dove from the rafters high, I could him to sleep so he would not cry. We could him to sleep, my mate and I said the dove from rafters high. Thus every beast by some could spell, in the stable dark was glad to tell of the gift he gave Emmanuel. The gift he gave Emmanuel. The gift he gave Emmanuel. All right, so there is the friendly beasts. Let's go back through those chords really quick. Okay, so we have our basic C, 3rd finger, 3rd fret on the 1st string, our basic F, 1st finger, 1st fret on the 2nd, and 2nd finger, 2nd fret on the 4th. We got our G7, which we keep our 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then we put our other 2 fingers around it on the 2nd fret, above it, 1 fret. And then we have our bar D. We've talked about this in previous videos, as well as our many ways to do G, and then our A7. It makes a lot of sense in this song to do A7 with a 2nd finger rather than a 1st finger, and the reason for that is because if we're going up into a G from there, it makes a lot of sense, right? Unless you're doing G this way. Okay, so you're going to have to choose which finger you're going to do it on, right? Okay, so whichever finger you're using for your G on the third string is probably going to be the one that you're using for the A7 in this. It doesn't always have to be the same finger for the A7 chord. And then finally we have our F again, which we did in the first verse, but now it's joined with a B flat. And B flat, I like to bar and all the way across and on the first fret and do second finger on the second fret of the third and third fret on the fourth. That's how I like to do B flat. But you can always do it with a partial bar, where you're going with your first finger just covering the first two strings. Okay, and that works just as well. I think this is a little bit more comfortable for me, but other people I've talked to have a really, really hard time doing the full bar across on the first fret. And of course, you're fighting the nut when you're playing a B flat chord. And so it is a little bit of a harder chord, so you do need to spend some time on that one. And there's no getting around it, I'm afraid. You just have to learn B flat at some point. G minor 7, which I've mentioned as a possible substitute for B flat. I don't think that's going to work very well on this one, but let's try it anyway. Okay, so here we go. Was humbly born in a stable rude. And that's okay, but I like the B flat better. It gives it more of the folk-like quality that this song has. Let's talk about some of the strumming and finger picking that we did in here. I started off with a very simple finger picking pattern in the first verse, just doing this on a C chord. So I'm going 3, 12, 4, 12, 3, 12, 4, 12. So that means I'm plucking the third string all by itself with my thumb, and then I'm plucking strings 1 and 2 with my first and second fingers, and then I'm going over and plucking string 4 with my thumb, and then I'm going back to strings 1 and 2. So 3, 12, 4, 2, no, 3, 12, 4, 12, 3, 12, 4, 12, 3, 12, 4, 12. Now that works really well until we get to Jesus our brother, kind and good, right? So Jesus our brother, kind, and you notice I just did a little Jesus our, so I did a 3-12, 3-12, just on the F chord, so that the whole F chord gets sounded out, because otherwise it would only be sounded out like this. It would be Jesus our, right? And we're only getting a double stop there on that, and the full chord's not sounding out. And so Jesus our brother kind. So that's what I did. You don't have to do that. You could always just switch out that measure for strumming. Jesus our brother kind and good. Honestly, anybody that's listening to you is not going to notice much difference. It's one measure that we have to deal with there that has two chords in it. And then on the second verse, I just went the easy route and did one per. Sometimes I threw in a 4-finger roll. You know, I said the donkey shaggy and brown, right? And sometimes I just did a thumb strum. I carried his mother up and down. Now on the third verse, I switched to our triplet strum that I've talked about before. We have a down followed by a thumb followed by an up. That's what the little down symbol is, the little upside down box, right? With the P standing for thumb and the V actually standing for an up bow marking, right? And so I said the cow all white and red. Now this is a wonderful song to practice your triplet strums on, and because it's fairly slow, unless you do your triplets in double time, and that wouldn't fit this song at all. It'd be pretty funny. I said the cow all white and red. not really working there. Okay, but because this is so slow, this is a great one to start off with for doing triplets if you've never done them before. I said the cow white and red, right? And then on the next verse, I went back to the 3, 12, 4, 12. And then on the 5th verse, we did the 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4 finger picking pattern. Now I don't put spaces in between it when it's all just a constant stream of finger picking so that I don't waste space, right? But this goes like this: 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4. Now this is just my index and my thumb going back and forth. I said the dove from rafters high, I could him to sleep so he would not cry. Now this takes a little bit of time because you're going string 1, string 4, string 2, string 3, string 2, string 4, and you got to get this into you just programmed so that you don't have to think about it anymore. And I could just talk to you all day and just let my fingers do the walking on this because I have just programmed it into the muscle memory. And I no longer have to concentrate on it. And that's what you want to do when it comes to more complex fingerpicking and strumming patterns. You just want to repeat them over until you finally just don't need to think about them at all. And that way you can concentrate on what you're singing. Or other aspects. If you're an instrumental player, you can concentrate on other things. Dynamics and phrasing and all that kind of thing. But you just want these things to become absolutely automatic. So on the final verse, we switched up to just a pretty aggressive down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Not as aggressive as the double time triple stroke would have been on this. And a lot easier, right? So, thus every piece by some could spell, in the stable dark was glad to tell, right? And then we did a repeat there of the last phrase on the very end, and I think I just put just some basic strums on that. The gift he gave Emmanuel, and then added an amen in the chords, right? Okay, and so just for fun. But one of the many ways you can add a little bit of audience. This is the end of the song. You can applaud now. Anyway, I hope you found that enjoyable. I didn't know this carol when I was a boy. I first heard it in, actually saw it in that international book of carols that my father had when I was growing up, and thought it was kind of strange in there. It wasn't until I got a lot older that I really began to love this carol, and I think it's just fantastic. I think it deserves a place right in there with some of the best of them. So there you go, the Friendly Beasts. I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and just keep playing.